What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? Well, Robert Jeffries and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, a Sliders recap with Rain Coleman and Robert Jeffries II. What's up, y'all? We're back again with another podcast, with another video. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, and you said put slide into the. I was tired as hell when I made this shit. All right, so I am your second chair. This is Rain Coleman, the CarefreeBlackNerd. Happy to be here as always, and I have with me the originator of this thing, the Mr. Sci-Fi himself. What's up, Robert?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Hey, sliding, stumbling. It just begins with the S. It begins with the S and ends with a G, right?
Oh my God. So we are 7 episodes in now. As far as we know, are we back on track as far as chronological order, or?
You know what? I should have checked IMDb. You know, that's the. I'm glad this ain't live.
No, because this shit, I was like, you know what? That
let me check.
Mix up of them switching around them episodes is really impacting the way I view this show. Not that it's worse, but like critiques that I have, I'm like, okay, I have to have 2 critiques for everything. Or I would, if this is out of order, I'm gonna say this. But if it's not out of order, then I'm gonna say this. So I'm like, this is such an interactive show after all these years. But yeah,
I think looking at this, I think we might be back on track.
Okay.
Because I'm comparing the IMDb list against the the list of Peacock of episodes.
Yeah.
And it looks like, yep, the next 4 are in order.
Good.
Yeah, and I think Peacock made an extra episode because they divided the pilot into 2 separate episodes.
Yeah.
So like outside of like Peacock saying 10 episodes and IMDb saying 9 episodes, we're back on track. So.
Okay. That's what's up. Well, that's good to know, because with that in mind, I'm gonna just say it. I thought this was a phenomenal, like, mid-season episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that. Now I still got my issues with it, but I'm gonna say that. Listeners, viewers, all that good stuff, use the hashtag STTMpod when you're listening, when you're watching. Give us some feedback. Slide into our respective social medias and let us know what are your thoughts. In this episode, Eggheads, season 1, episode 7, the Sliders land on an Earth where being intelligent is more popular than being a famous athlete. What's up, man? Bruh, what are our thoughts? How are we feeling about this episode in particular?
So, general thoughts, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I think, like, it's weird. We came off of maybe like 2 or 3 episodes which were just not hitting. And this one kind of built things back up to where we had started with with the pilot, because I don't think we've had so this one was good. I definitely have some critiques to talk about. Primarily with 2 of the actual sliders.
Yeah.
Because that shit came out of nowhere.
Yes.
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 But overall, I love the what this parallel world was all about. And I'm pretty sure, like, by the end of it, my opinion is going to stay the same. If anything, it might go up a little bit. But how about you? Like, general thoughts before we jump into the review?
I liked it. I stand by this being, even if we had to watch all the episodes in the correct order or the order that we watched it in, I think this episode in particular, had I have watched this show live and not known how many episodes were coming, this would have been a phenomenal mid-season finale towards the end of the season episode. So I have the same critiques, I'm sure. I feel like we're gonna be saying a lot of the same shit tonight, but that aside, I'll just say I liked it. I'll leave it there before we get into it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we'll slide right into it. We start off with the sliders. In this case, they stumbled. They stumbled into this world. In the middle of they were slid near a library, and it was in the middle of the city. One of the things is I think I said this before. This is like the second or third time that we've seen them land in front of like a bunch of people, and in this case, everybody accepted it because we find out something like immediately after that sliding is apparently a thing on this world. One of the things that they notice when they kind of get up and collect themselves is that the library has a sign where it says longer library hours. There's an, I think it's a bus stop or a bus ad with Einstein and Gap, like the Gap ad with Einstein. And this guy's walking around with a boombox, kids, those big stereo that you carried around, playing Tchaikovsky, just like classical music. And Rembrandt calls, he's like, "Oh, that's Tchaikovsky." And then the professor says, "Whoa, I didn't know black people." No, I'm saying he doesn't say that.
Yes, that's pretty much what he said.
And Rembrandt is like, if you're gonna know the game, you got to know the grades, right? As far as being a musician, so something that's different, where you got all these kind of things, they're experiencing once they get there. And the biggest thing that happens is that a little boy walks up to Quinn, and actually, no, they look up and they see Quinn, this world's Quinn, on a billboard, and it's either for Nike or it's for Nike
with two
Ks. And the slogan for Nike on this world is "Just Think It." So they're like, okay, so this world's Quinn is very recognizable. And so then after that, a little boy walks up and asks him for his autograph, and then he asks the professor for his autograph, and and then he turns to Wade and Rembrandt says, "Are you anybody famous or whatever?" And they were like, "I don't know," and so there's this mob that when these people realize who they are, they start swarming the group, trying to get autographs. Wade and Remy are pushed back, and then this lady walks up, and they ask her, like, why is everybody excited? And I don't know, it was like the worst delivery of this line where she says it's Maxie and Quinn, they're the sliders. And then they Wade and Remy are still, they don't understand. He's like, they're the where have you been? That's what she says. She says, where have you people been? They're the sliders. And that's when it's revealed that apparently in this world that the duo they said that they slid like doing an experiment. So Rembrandt calls a taxi, gets them all into the car, and as they're talking in the car, Wade mentions to Quinn, like, on this world you guys are known as sliders, and Quinn says, well, if we can get back to my home, maybe I can use the equipment to help us get home. And so that's how it goes, cuts into the credits, and they leave the crowd of adoring fans behind them. So what were your thoughts about the opening?
Microaggressions galore. This is the most fucked up. I wanted to smack everybody in this damn opening. All of them. What the hell is going on here? Professor, he is so inconsistent to me that it pisses me off even more than Quinn and Wade's like love affair. Because I'm like, every world, he has this. I think maybe it being the 90s, it's enough that he was a big guy, older, with an accent who could deliver these lines and make it sound a certain way. Because I'm like, every other world, you were a dictator, or you're a nice guy, or you're mean, or it's like, God damn, I see why Quinn and the rest of them kids hated your class in the pilot episode. You are an asshole. God, I'm sick of him, and I didn't like him anymore as the episode went on. But this opening I thought was done pretty well. I do think that lady was the most awkward part of this opening, even past that little boy who asked for the autograph. I think he did great.
Yeah, he was
Well, he's
cool.
probably like 30 now, but that little boy did great. But her, I was like, if you don't get your living Amish behind out of here, Mormon lady, like, what are you talking about? But I did like this. I did like the opening. I truly did. And I like the mentioning of sliding. Of course, we'll get more of that later. But all of this is where I was like, oh, this is the episode. This is the one. So I'm locked in at this point.
Okay. Yeah, he was like, Black people don't listen to classical music. I was like, Professor, come on, man. It's like, so they go to Quinn's house, Quinn's home, and they see that the house is for sale. And the realtor, I don't know the lady's name. I can't remember the lady's name, but when she sees Quinn, she's like, not why are you here, but she's surprised to see him. And the first thing that gets me is that Remy asks, "Is that your mom?" And I'm like, "You met his mom."
Man.
They don't. The continuity for the show ain't continuity or whatever. Like,
hold up. Okay, let me tell you why that pisses me off, especially because even if this is shot out of order, like you said, we met your mom. Secondly, what pisses me off about this show is that they get to a new world and be like, "Oh, why is Mickey Mouse ears green?" Well, I don't know. I came here with you. How am I supposed to know if that's my mom? So it's whichever way you look at it, that's annoying. I'm like,
well, I mean, apparently it was annoying for Wade.
God.
Wade called it. Apparently, like, it was annoying the fuck out of her so much. But when he was just like, "Is that your mom?" I'm like, dude, you saw the same mom that we saw in the first episode.
God.
So anyway, so that aside, the other thing that I do like about this episode is that some of the characters are dropping like little clues about Quinn and the professor, the doubles of this world. And so she says something to the effect of like, the house is there's a bank foreclosure. She's having an estate sale. And when he asks her, is all the furniture still in there? And she says, yes, you told me to keep it that way so it could increase the value or whatever. And I think there's a mention of a bank foreclosure. But the other thing is that she's delivering all this information. She ain't got nothing but eyes for the professor. One of the things that when I noticed was when the boy earlier had asked for the professor's autograph, he said, "My mom is your biggest fan." So amongst like the 40 and above crowd, it looks like the professor is like has been pulling them because she is just all like really into him. So the doubles. So he gets the keys to the house, and I like the fact that they established like now this is a place where they can chill. They can hang at the house.
Yes,
ain't nobody there. So they go inside the house and just chill, and they're looking around for because all the furniture's there. They think that maybe there's a chance that the equipment is there. So they go down to the they're looking around the house, and then they go down to the basement, and they actually, before they do that, they go to the kitchen. Quinn is on the front of the Wheaties box, which is like WEETIEES, and it's the breakfast. It's still the breakfast of champions. I'm trying to remember the slogan, and I think Remy asks a question. Is that the one where he asked about? He asked him something like that about like being on the Wheaties box or something that the Quinn of this world would know. And then Wade turns to him and says, "Why you keep asking stupid questions? He wouldn't know anything about that." And I was like, where's the viciousness coming from? Because they haven't established this.
At all.
At all. Like it hasn't been like this thing of, and if we had seen that kind of leading up to this episode, it would have made sense because she was tired of it. Just like you remember when Quinn turned to Rembrandt when they were climbing the tower,
Yep.
and Rembrandt was complaining, and then Quinn snapped back because he had episodes of that happening. So I know. I'll go through the summary, but yeah, she snaps on him, and then Rembrandt just like looks at her like, "Ooh." So they go downstairs. They find the trophies. It might be somewhere upstairs or downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And when they don't see any equipment, they don't see the lab equipment, and the professor comes up with the idea of basically using their celebrity to status to find the equipment, go to the college. He said we could either chill here or we can use our newfound celebrity to find this equipment. And they're like, because they're like, okay, we want to find this equipment. Let's go to the college. They go to the college. I'll go through the next scene. They meet this guy who apparently doesn't make an appearance after this one part. And from what I remember, if this is the same actor, I don't know if you ever watched X-Files. There was a character in there called the Marlboro Man. He was a kind of a shadowy government figure, and I think this is the same actor.
I'm vaguely familiar with that. I have a vague memory. Okay.
Yeah, so they run into this guy, and he tells the professor, "Well, your office you're the chairman. You're in the chairman's office." So they go inside the office. They're looking around for anything that they can find about the sliding. I love that Rembrandt is just like, "Let me just pick up files." He's like, "This looks important." Everybody, but the thing that and the guy even mentions is like, "Oh, you're back from your slide." So it's establishing that everybody on this world knows about at least sliding. From when it comes to the Quinn and the professor of this world. So the professor, when they go into his office, they find like pictures of him, like a poster, like he apparently lectured at Las Vegas, and they're establishing how much academic pursuits or like intellectual pursuits are like now the entertainment of this world. And the professor finds his home phone number, calls it, and that's weird. I don't know why he calls this house. So he calls a house and he gets a lady picks up and says, Maximilian or Max, is that you? And then he hangs up, and then the lady calls back, and when he calls back and she calls back and says, "Yeah, that is you," he hangs up. He's like, "We gotta get out." And before they get out, his secretary comes in and says that word has spread that Quinn is back and they want him at practice. So those two scenes, them going back home and now at the college, were good ideas made. Good ideas.
Wade need one of these women of this world to whoop her ass. I'm sick of her. I'm sick the fuck of her. I'm so tired of her. I didn't even with all my critiques, I truly enjoyed these scenes because it felt like this was like a tight story.
Yep.
I never once questioned. Well, I don't want to say it too early. Well, I never questioned why everybody else didn't go find their own home, like Rembrandt did when he was dead. I like this. I like The Office. I like this. Like everything about the way this show looks. This episode in particular, I enjoyed. The professor. I thought that was odd that he would even. I find it odd the way they speak to people when they're on a new world, because I know you want to tread lightly, but it's also like you're posing as yourself. You don't know what you do. So to be like, "Oh, I'm not going back there. That's the chancellor's office." Like, what? Turn this thing on. You sound silly. That I don't know, stuff like that. They don't pull me out of the show, but that stuff like that has happened quite a bit, and I'm like, at some point, it's like in one part of the scene you acknowledge that we're jumping to a new world, but in the other part you're like, "Oh, I could never love Tracy. She hated me in high school." Like, what do you like? Investigate. So I don't know. Those are my own like really big critiques about it, but I did like. I don't know. I just really, I really like these scenes. But Wade, fuck her. That's it.
Like you said, that came out of nowhere, and I don't like Rembrandt being called stupid throughout the episode.
Like
when he hasn't shown like being like dumb or stupid like this
at all.
Yeah.
If anything, you kissed a stranger on a brand new earth and caught COVID early.
Yeah,
dummy. I'm so mad at her.
There's something that happens where it ties into something you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get to that. So they show Quinn goes to practice, and you see his team. And basically, they established that athletics is mixed with academics in this game called Mind Game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that. So it, but apparently Quinn, when he gets there, the coach, he stops practice. The coach stops practice and starts to kind of like berate Quinn a little bit and says, you just left for one of your experiments, talking about the sliding.
Mm-hmm.
And so apparently the Quinn and professor of this world just disappeared, and you still think he's sliding. There's a guy, he tells Quinn, but I'm glad, he says, he whispers, but I'm glad you're here because we need it, because they're going into the playoffs of this game called Mind Game. And they really need his help. So they'll go off to have a conversation. And then you see this guy who had been practicing with the team, and his name is Wilson. And he walks off all pissed. And I'm like, yeah, your teammates are shitty. Because as he's walking off, they like talking shit. He's like, guess Quinn's back. Yeah, And it's just whatever. So they show Quinn go to the locker room. And the thing I love about Quinn, fuck is going on, because there have been some worlds like the monarchy world where he was just like, Robin Hood, let's ride and all of this, and in this one he looks genuinely concerned because he doesn't know what to do. Right. So they're talking to him, that his teammates, I think there's I can't remember the guy's name, it's another white guy, but he's another like close friend or a teammate. But they're talking to him about like saying stuff like, if I had left for the half the season and come back, right when we're going to the playoffs, I would have been gone. And the same guy makes a joke about, Wilson. Wilson's still walking around pissy and shit. Yeah. And they tell him that apparently Wilson became captain while Quinn was gone. So Wilson, I'm like, okay, well, if I had been watching this for the first time, I was like, okay, well, Wilson is just like, he's pissed off. Maybe he's going to try to sabotage him. No, Wilson goes, he makes a phone call. He makes a phone call. He's like, put Joey on the phone. And then he's like, I guess your threat didn't hold or whatever. Quinn is back. And then he's like, take care of the problem. I'm like, Wilson, shit. Yeah. So it becomes something bigger than Wilson having his feelings hurt. It sounds like he wants to have this man killed. And so it's just like, okay, shit is getting real. So they go back to Quinn's house. And here we go with the same rappers from the communist episode. Except they're doing the library rap, and I just wrote, this is horrible. It's just the same rap group. They're supposed to be doing a parody, but on this world, they're celebrating intelligence, right? With their rap and whatever. Even Rembrandt looks at it, he's like, ha ha ha, this is funny. So Quinn is sitting there reading this book about Mind Game because he's trying to figure out how to play it, and he explains that what you have to do is answer questions like just, I don't know, smart trivia. This is not me playing Trivial Pursuit, Marvel Edition. This is like science and more science. Answer questions while you're running around trying to capture squares. There are sports anchors on TV talking about his return in the playoffs. And the thing that gets me about this scene is that Remy and Wade are just chilling, talking shit, and eating popcorn. And Quinn is looking worried as hell. He's like, can you turn down the TV? They at least turn down the TV. But as he's like sitting there talking about how he's concerned, they're like, Remy says, that sounds easy. And Wade is just eating popcorn and just chilling. I'm like, y'all are not being empathetic to the fact that this dude needs to play this game. And he's like, I don't want to play in the game. And then Wade's like, well, you have to, so we can find the equipment and get home. And they trying to guilt trip him. And I'm like, but the weight is being put on his shoulders, but y'all just went and got popcorn and drank some beer. So anyway, so I don't know, like, what were your thoughts about
them?
Yep.
especially Wade. But fuck them. Yeah, that whole thing is weird to me because you're on this world. You've been on enough worlds at this point that you know Quinn was experimented on in one of these. It's like, what are we doing? Yes, Wade, you died in one world, but that wasn't you.
Yeah.
Like it. So I'm like, to your point, I do like the idea that the two of them get to actually take a breath and
Okay. Well,
relax. But
yeah.
I'm with Quinn. These motherfuckers ain't said, let's also learn some rules and see what we could
Yep.
like. They watching rap videos and eating popcorn, and
Right.
Wade is. I'm like, I want to give her grace, but I can't do it. She annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty done with them. Um, especially because y'all apparently either don't exist or are not significant enough in this
Mhm.
world. You should be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Like while
Mhm.
they're playing pickup ball and flirting with secretaries, y'all
Yeah.
could be looking for this equipment. Like what?
Yeah.
I just but I that is my critique. But then at the same time, I do like that they weren't front runners in this episode. So I feel hypocritical even saying that, but like they pissed me off.
I think that one of them could have been trying to help him study. That's
At
the
least
thing,
one.
because when it was the two of them just chilling and eating popcorn and saying like "shit sucks for you,"
Yeah.
I'm gonna go make some popcorn. You want some? He's like that type of shit. But yeah, and I'm gonna say it right now. I don't like this game. I don't. The game is like it definitely is like fake sports.
Yeah.
And I know like people who probably listening to this is like, well, sports isn't fun. I'm like, fuck it. They could have had them playing basketball and they're just yelling out trivia or whatever. It doesn't look right when they're doing it. It looks like when we were kids and you would just run around and make up some shit.
Yes.
Like, there's the ball. Let's run around the field and the lava's on the ground. You know,
Yeah.
that type of shit.
Yeah.
That's how it reads to me. Anyway, so we got Professor goes back to the office because he's at least trying to do some shit. He goes to the office and he asks the secretary, can you show me where my files are which pertain to sliding and my experiment related sliding experiment? He's like, she says, well, anything like that would be at your house. You don't keep those here. So I was like, okay, so that's another reason for him to possibly go home. But then she says, like, you have messages, but also there's a lady in the office. And because the professor is just like, shit, let's get it. He's like, let's go into the office.
This freaky
Instead
ass.
of just, like, he went in there, she said, there's a young lady. He said, oh, okay. And goes into the office and, it's very attractive looking woman and says, Maxie, you've been a bad boy. And he's like, oh, have I? Okay, let's go. And then she said she serves him with divorce papers. Because his wife can't stand this ass on this planet,
Yeah.
on this world. So that's that. We go back to, I guess it's the actual game.
Yeah.
We had like a day of practice, and now it's the day of the actual game. It's probably the next day because I think they have 5 days on the planet on this world. So it's Harvard versus, I said UCLA, but it's UCal. It's the University of California. They can't. I guess they can't use UCLA. So on my notes, I said I hate this game a lot. Quinn is playing bad. I'm bored. And the funny thing is everybody's like, he's playing horribly. And I'm like, no, he's playing the way that this game appears to be played. I'm sorry, like, nobody's gonna be able to sit here and convince me that this shit looked. And that's it. I'm not a sports head. Like, I'll watch the Super Bowl once a year. I used to watch basketball when we was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Bulls were kicking everybody's ass. I can watch a football game from time to time. So I know sports. Like, I know people who are much more into it than I am, but this looked horrible. But from the professor's office, and then we go to the bar, which is kind of intercut with the game. So the professor, Wade, and Remy are at a bar watching a game. I just put at the top, Wade and Remy are being assholes because Remy makes a joke about it. You know, Wade checks in on the professor, and the professor looks done. And then the professor, Wade says, you know, what's wrong? And then Remy's like, he's getting divorced. Let me drink some beer. And so the professor says, I'm just sorry, like, and the professor says that it's not, there's a emotional reason. There's a reason because apparently on his world, he was married to a woman named Christina who he's married to on this world.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was young, when they were younger, they were only married for 2 years, and she died of a brain aneurysm. So it's something that has affected him for a while. And so that's when Remy goes, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said nothing, but you know, that type of shit. So he says that he's still looking down. Then they show a little bit of the game montage of basically they went about the skin in their teeth because Quinn gets a last minute point, but the commentators say he's been playing shitty. And actually, that's one thing. The coach won't put Wilson in, and Wilson gets even more pissy. Quinn wins the game. The professor looks done when they go back to the bar, and Remy hates the thing. He's like, oh, damn, UCal won. And then Wade's like, why are you upset? And she was like, I bet against Quinn. And I'm like, and my note after this is like, why do they have to make him look dumb? Because Wade starts, she's like, why would you bet on a game you don't understand? Right, Professor? And then Professor's gone. In his mind, he was like, I'm tired of y'all assholes. Y'all been at it for the whole night and you are drunk. So those two things, the gang and the bar scene, and Professor, any thoughts on that? And also, apparently, Rembrandt being now going from comedic relief to just like the stupid person of the group. It's just like
makes no fucking sense. I hate Wade. I don't care to see her smile ever again. I hope Quinn never kisses her. I don't care. Get her out of here. This game looks silly as hell. It looks like a knockoff American Gladiator. Like it does not. Like I do like that it's so ridiculous that like, oh, this world that's athleticism. Because also like nothing about this game. Like with basketball, you're constantly running, you're jumping. Football, you're running, you're slamming into each other. Wrestling, you're like, there's nothing about this game that felt like if kids just did this on the playground, they're also working out. It's like you said, it's just like we're running around.
Right.
It's so the game itself just looks. And then the commentators, it's like I'm not mad at them. Them brothers got a check, but I was like, y'all.
And I think they're actually celebrity. I mean, athletes.
Oh,
I think they're actual athletes.
Well, good for them. Because I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be mad at this show. They got black folks. I mean, it's the rappers and the commentators, but they're there. The bar scene really, really pissed me off when I first watched it. Because to your point, I feel like we've slid enough together that we should be so empathetic towards each other, like just in general, not even like he's going through a divorce. Like, because a lot of times when I watch this show, I'm thinking like, what happens if they argue? Like if we're arguing on this world, I'm so mad at you. My anger towards you will never supersede me wanting you to be safe so we can jump to the next. You know what I'm saying? Like this felt like Seinfeld almost, where like they're a group of friends, but they're always mean to each other. Like that's what I was like, this is not the episode to do that. This man is going through a divorce. Quinn has to play a game which he is going to humiliate him. Like it just it felt like out of all the episodes to be rude and halfway catty, this was not it. And one thing I do like about this episode is not I'll say retcon, but like involving what's her name, Catherine Fox, the fiance, like that bit of lore about the professor did not feel like a very special cigarette episode, a very special drug. Like it felt like, oh yeah, that's part of his lore. We've never known about her, but why would we? She died in his world. So I like that, and I was probably more emotionally invested than I probably should have been. So I
Mhm.
was mad at this bar scene. I was like, "You two idiots, y'all could just stay at home."
Yep. I mean,
Dummy.
and the and I like that also, like his the fact that we got a little bit of lore building, because one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that we've established is that it seems as if the focus is always on, if we talk about anybody's past, it's Quinn. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we talk about his dad passing away. We talk about I used to live in this house. You know, this is everything kind of revolves around him. And we even
Yeah.
spoke about, and this is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, is the
Yeah.
fact that Wade, we mentioned this. Wade doesn't get any mention of her family.
Mm-mm.
Rembrandt every 5 minutes is talking about my past is music, my past is music, my past is
Mm-hmm.
music. Did I tell you my past is music? And so in this one, to get some type of emotional heft for this guy
Yeah.
who was always kind of big and boisterous and loud and racist, and we're gonna get to it, sexist. It it just is what it is. So it's like it was good to give him some like emotion, like some like emotion, an emotional chorus. So we go back to Quinn's house, and Wade reveals to Quinn that Rembrandt, apparently the money man, the money man of the group, lost all their money betting on Quinn. Whose choice was it in the writers' room to make this brother stupid for this episode? Like that was it was a choice, and it was not a choice that had been established very well. He went from complaining to leaving Wade for a new new life. They are making his brother come second to Quinn as being the most horrible person
Yeah.
in this group. And so apparently they ain't got no more money.
Which,
It's just like, why put it all? Let's say like you bet against him. That's a shitty thing to do. But put all of their money.
where is their money? Because that kind of pissed me off. Cause I was like,
Where'd you get the money from?
we've established if you're in the wrong place with the wrong money, you
Yeah.
might get locked up. So I'm like, I didn't even know we were still carrying cash. But
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. Like, first of all, they don't carry around bags for clothes. So where they getting clothes from every episode? I was going to say crash services. No, it's wardrobe. So they get them for wardrobe. So that's one thing. The
yeah,
other thing is, like, where do you get cash on each of these worlds? You cannot get there. You do not establish that y'all get jobs. I mean, you can go get a pickup job, right? You can go
yeah.
we know that. We know there are jobs that legally you can go
Mm-hmm.
and get some cash, right? So that's cool. But I understand, like, it's easier to not explain it, because every episode you would have to explain how they
Yeah,
get his money. So,
yeah.
but it is weird that he would just spend it all on betting. And that's where I kind of agree with Wade, but I also don't agree with their choice to make this brother stupid for this episode. It was a weird as shit. So anyway, so Remy lost all their money. I didn't even get into the scene yet. I'm sorry.
No, that's shit.
Yeah, Quinn is like, he's pissed, but they're just talking, but they're celebrating the fact that he won. And
Mm-hmm.
then here comes the mafia. They so they go into the kitchen, and it's this heavy set guy with like a beard, goatee. He kind of reminds me of like Orson Welles.
Mm.
As far as his look. And there's like two other kind of tough guys. I think there's one white guy, one Asian guy. They all muscled up. And then you got Wilson. Wilson's hating ass. Did you go from the game, get a suit and tie, and then come here to like
Like,
muscle up? So that's the person that apparently Wilson called. And Joey explains, like, he says something like it was, and I actually like him, because it's this thing of like they're trying to, instead of him being like, hey, the stereotypical
yeah.
Italian mafioso type or any type of guys, it's like this intellectual
Mm-hmm.
mafioso guy. So when he talks, he goes into Latin. When
Yep.
he talks, he's like using these like, he's very like articulate and
Mm-hmm.
erudite, whatever that word is or whatever. See, I'm not intelligent enough to say it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is like doesn't do justice to kind of how they write this scene with him and his dialogue, and it's kind of fun. But basically what comes out of it is that the Quinn of this world is an asshole.
Yep.
It sounds like he's just on par with like the asshole Quinn from the
Mm-hmm.
first episode, and was in about like $1 million to the mob, and I think Joey, the guy, punches him and says, you should have never came back, but now that you're back, you can do something to pay me back for the debt. And he says, I need you to throw the final game, the final match. Since you're back, I think they punch him another time, and then each time it happens, Redman goes, hey, and he holds Wade back the second time, and and I mean, even Wade tries to step. That's what it is. Wade tries to step up, and then Redman holds her. It's like, hey, and he tells Quinn, like, if you don't throw the game, you're gonna die, and all this. So, I guess the professor better be glad he left them, because all this shit happened. So the next thing we see is the professor. He goes the next day. He goes to talk to his wife and meets her at the house. I like the houses and wherever they're filming at. These are some nice ass houses.
Yeah.
So he catches her. He's in the cabin. When she's going inside, all of a sudden in the back of my mind, I heard, "I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna shed no tears." Oh,
bro, that would fit. Oh my god, that would fit.
It was perfect. It was perfect. Mary J. Blige, shout out. Oh, shout out like I know her, but I wish that music had played in the background as he walked up, because she was like, I ain't about your shit. The professor is, he's on this whole kick of like, my dead wife is, I possibly get another chance to see her, not get married and all that. Like he ain't dumb, but he says like, as he's talking to her, she calls him a master manipulator. She calls his act the little boy lost routine. He says the little boy lost routine is old, tired, and I don't believe it anymore. And and it just keeps hurting him, because he's like, what has my double done to hurt you so bad? That type of thing. And as he leaves, the Mary J. Blige song fades out. She leaves out, but between the intelligent mafia and the professor and the wife, like, what were your thoughts about these two?
That kitchen scene was dumb as hell. I was like, first of all, and this is the American in me, nobody pulled out a gun. So at this point, I'm whooping everybody ass. I'm picking up a chair and I'm beating the fuck out of everybody. Big boy, you going first. Like, I was like, I get it. I know why we did the things we did. But I was like, man, if y'all don't hit these motherfuckers upside down, like, what the fuck? Rembrandt got like good 30 pounds on the Asian dude. And then little Miss Know-It-All, she low enough to the ground, she could have been biting knees and ankles. I was so mad. Like, y'all some dickheads. Y'all, oh my god. And then fucking what's his name again? Wilson. Wilson, right?
Wilson.
I hate him.
Yeah.
I hate him. But I will say, to your point, I think the actual like mafia dudes, I did like them. The Latin and the threats, like I truly did like that scene. And I think Quinn, I don't know, I ain't gonna say we ain't giving him enough credit because he's all up and through here, but I think even him, like getting like the physical acting, I thought was done really well. Like he's a really good actor. But I did think the scene was set up well. It felt very familiar, like the coming in the house, having a good time, because it would, even though it's not the same, it felt like house party. You think you done made it home, and at the end of the night, it's cut on them lights, and your daddy got that belt. Like that's what it felt like. I didn't anticipate that happening, but when it did, I was like, okay, I get this. This makes sense. But also, how the hell y'all get in my house? Like, where the fuck is going on? And y'all just sitting there. How long have y'all been sitting here in the dark? Because the game just ended. Wilson, he might not have played, but he was there. So like,
Wilson had the suit in the locker room, and Quinn should have been like, "Why are you getting dressed in a suit, Wilson?" He said, "You'll find out later on."
Like I was just, or have him at the house in his basketball uniform. Like I was like,
that's why, like, I mean, it just because it was weird. But and what about the professor with his
him and Sigourney Weaver's variant? I like her. I really hope we see her again. And this is TMI, but I really liked her. I like that scene because I, in my early 20s, dealt with like manipulative people. Like I've dated and entertained people who are like, but it was my first time in a romantic adult sense dealing with people like that. And so even though we did not see firsthand what the professor did, listening to her, I was like, man, I feel you, because I've definitely pulled out a skillet and went to, back and forth for a motherfucker behind this dumb shit. So I don't know. I think the story is done well. I think it's believable that his variant did the shit he did, but I think her performance really sold it for me. Like I like her. I want to see her again. So I'm for it. I'm for it all. I like how she cussed his ass out. Yes. Good shit.
Yeah, she was one of the better parts of the episode.
Yeah.
So the the next scene we have is going back to Quinn's house, and the professor has told them that he went to go see his wife and to talk to her, and Wade is like, why did you do that? She says something like, I don't want to be cruel, but you shouldn't, you don't have a connection to her. And in my mind, the first thing that popped up and was like, you went to try to find your family on Apocalypse World.
Come on.
And you were going to go to them and say, what? Like, so don't berate this man for, that's the thing. Like I hate to say this, and maybe this just wasn't a thing, but y'all got to keep track of the continuity. Like, I'm going to tell like people right now, before we get to like the season 1 wrap up for this, I'm going to go through each episode and look at the last few minutes and find what our scores were. So I won't get on the last episode. It was like 8s across the board, man. All this shit was great. You got to do that. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen where you don't forget certain things that have happened, but you guys had a 10-episode season, and you had already established that she has done the same damn thing, and it makes her character look bad, because you're like, well, Professor, I mean, fuck her, right? You don't know this woman, and it's just like, wait, shit. So you did the same thing. I don't know. It was just weird, the writing. But anyway, so then, the professor's like, well, I still wanted to go see her or whatever. And as they're having this conversation, Quinn is like, deuces. He's like, I'm out. Like, deuce. Like, Quinn is like, I'm not playing in this game. The mafia's after me. And then Clinton Wade is like, if you don't play the game, then you won't be able to like use that, which is kind of weird. But basically, you won't be able to find the sliding equipment. And one of the things that I do like that they've established is that it seems like in between the scenes, they've still been looking. Right? Because Quinn says, I've looked in every place where we possibly could have had some equipment. And then he's like, I don't even know if this thing exists. And whatever. And then Wade is like, well, you got to play the game so we can see about getting out of here. And then the professor's like, I want to be real. I think my double is somewhere in a villa in like Europe, chilling with it's some other woman, and it sounds like Quinn's double just got the hell out of Dodge. Yeah, and actually, I kind of prefer this simplistic breakdown, which is kind of generally speaking possibly what happened. And they use this excuse of sliding to be like, well, I mean, we told them we the sliders, y'all. Yeah. They just ran out. And Wade and Remy, because they just been doing shit but just eating popcorn and getting drunk and talking shit to each other. And even Quinn says, like, y'all can argue if you want to. I'm getting out of here. And as he's about to leave, I think the guy's name is Boiler or Boimer. And he shows up, and Wade answers the door, but then Quinn comes in, and Boyer says that the coach sent him to Quinn's house to find him. And Quinn's like, I got to go, chuck these deuces. Yeah. And then the guy's like, he says, tell the coach. And then Boyer's like, I ain't doing shit no more. And then he's like, go tell the coach yourself. And all these little clues, once again, have shown you like the Quinn of this world is just an asshole. He is just an asshole. And Quinn is like, I ain't gotta do shit. And so then they go to the college, and Quinn is talking to the coach. And the coach is like, I've covered for you when you showed up to practice drunk or worse. I'm like, what is worse?
Like, yeah.
Was he just like cracked out or something?
Oh no.
Like pop locking on crack or some shit.
Something.
I want to know what the worst was. And the coach is
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm always trying to get through to he's like, I'm always trying to get through to you. You can be a great player like, Carl Sagan, Stephen Hawking, which are, two very, intelligent academics in our world, scientists. And then Quinn's like, I'm chucking deuces. I told Boiler that I'm chucking deuces. And then he leaves. And then the FBI shows up for reasons. So so they show up to arrest Evil Quinn. Maybe they showed up because now Quinn is back. They couldn't have gotten him before, but then it just keeps. This is kind of stuff that I'm just like, okay, this is kind of like it's. I'm trying to think of the word. Whatever, but it just they add in the FBI. The FBI is like, we got you on charges of convenient. That's the word. This is what happens when you you get into your 40s. It takes you like a full ass 14 to remember a word. It becomes convenient,
Bruh.
that the FBI shows up and he's like, we got you on tax evasion, gambling debt, point shaving. And then Quinn's like, this is great. Okay. So I'm going to tell you how I can help you out. And, and that's how they cut to commercial. So the scene of like I guess we got these back to back, Quinn trying to get out, the professor giving his theories and then him talking to the coach and the FBI. Any thoughts?
Quinn is an idiot. Why did he pack that big ass bag?
he knew
All
he
you
knew
need,
they were gonna have shit. He heard us. He was like,
that
"We
had
put
to
you
be
in the
it.
bag for another
That had to be it. So it's like, what the fuck are we doing with this bag? If
gonna
Quinn
camp
is
out."
6'2", that bag is 6'4". I was like, why are you carrying this on your back? Like, I mean, it just felt silly because all you have to do is stay out of Dodge for like 2 days.
Yep.
And then use the slider machine. Like, you don't need a bag for that. Y'all never wear disguises. Well,
Yeah.
you impersonate yourselves on different worlds, but like,
Yeah.
I was like, Quinn, you're an idiot. And this boy Boyle who came to the door, I feel him because I would have been pissed off already for having to come up here. The coach sending me up here. Why am I doing this? I'm not even starting. Like, what do you? Well, maybe he is. I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to do this. We all grown. This ain't high school. We grown.
Yeah.
I feel him though. He's like, you are an asshole. You are a dickhead.
Mm-hmm.
You always doing this shit to us. Fuck you. I I would have pissed on his porch or something. Like, because at this point, I've wasted my gas. In the 90s, was that 2 nickels that I could have
Probably
saved that got me a full tank of gas? I hate Quinn. I hate everybody on this show. But what I will say is I did really like the way they shot the coach scene and the
Yeah.
FBI scene. Those were ridiculous scenes. Well, the FBI scene was, but I did enjoy the way that was shot. Like, they got their money's worth out of those sets,
Yeah.
and lighting really did a lot of the heavy lifting. Where if this was a more, I didn't say more serious, because I think this episode is a serious episode. But if this was a more, I kind of got the feel of what the hell is the show, the basketball movie? I'm not going to remember it, but it felt like one of those 90s coming of age movies. It felt like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did back in the day, I did my shit right. I could have gone pro and I didn't. And you motherfuckers these days, y'all worried about endorsements and
Yeah.
sponsorship. I was like, God damn, I mean, okay, I'm sold. I'm locked in. If the game wasn't so ridiculous,
Yeah.
like, I would have preferred the game just be basketball but play with a football. Like, that to me, like, that would have made more sense than this. Oh, what the fuck is going on? But I did like the coach, and the more that I think about it, the more we talk through it, I think he's probably one of my favorites. Like,
the coach was on some. He was good. Yeah.
he did what the hell he had to do in every scene that he showed up in. FBI. This was definitely, we need to get from point A to point B. What is the most
Right.
efficient way to do that? because that. I and did we need two of them? But
No.
I don't know. Whatever. They got paid. They got their check. But yeah, I all in all, I did like those scenes. I like the specifically the framing and the lighting in those last two parts. So that shit was shout out to whoever lit that, but not to whoever wrote that. So that's all I got.
So we go back to the professor. He apparently told Wade like, "Fuck your advice. I'm doing what I want to do." And he meets with Christina. I think that's her name, Christina. And he asked her to give him another chance to delay the divorce. He says, "I gotta go somewhere, but once I come back, please like give it another chance." And it's an emotional scene. She comes around because he doesn't seem like he is trying to run game on her. That's the best I could give as far as an explanation. So we go to the night of the game against MIT. The game starts, stuff happens. Quinn is doing good. I'm sorry, like I fast forwarded parts of the game, because at certain because Quinn is now like I feel more comfortable. He is now not running around looking confused. He's running around and doing well, but I still don't understand what's going on, and I don't care. And the commentators are like, he's like a man possessed. He's coming back. He's doing the Google that type of thing. So we see Wade and Remy are at the game, so they're on the sidelines because this is the same night that they're going to slide. And apparently Quinn didn't tell them about his plan with the FBI because they think they sitting there worried like, why is this man playing so well? Because they think that he's going to throw the game. And on Quinn's part, I was like, you should have told the squad what was about to happen.
I mean,
because they sitting over there, and guess who comes in? The intelligent mafia. Apparently, the security at this place doesn't give a fuck, and they just let these people onto the sideline, and they're mean mugging Quinn the whole time. Wilson plotting and scheming. And so then we go back to the office with the professor, and he's making a video to his double to basically tell him about the fact that on his world, his Christina had died, and when if he, the professor tells his double, if you lose her, then it's gonna your life won't be the same, and your life won't be right. And he's like, get your life right because he says you live in a world where intelligence is celebrated rather than not where he's from, and you have money and you have a great wife, and get your life right, boy. And the secretary is there. She shows up, and he says, when I show up again, can you please give me this videotape? And he gives her a kiss goodbye and then leaves. And
that was a question. Why would he?
I don't know. It was weird. I mean, he was just in his emotions, right? So he goes to the game. He's heading to the game. Quinn is still winning. He puts his team over the top to the point where he tells the coach, I need to come out. I need to take a breather. He's like, I'm seeing like white lights or something. And white spots, and the coach is about to put Wilson in his place, and Wilson's like, yeah, and then Quinn's like, no, there's a fix. He's going to, lose a game for you, and then the coach is like, fuck that, I need a championship, and he puts in Boyer, and Wilson's like, you're gonna die tonight, Quinn. He doesn't say that, but as soon as he gets out, he steps out, the intelligent mafia guys are like, what's he doing? And then they're like, fuck it, we can now expose ourselves on camera.
Which is
in my mind, I'm like, so if you're about to murder this man,
there we go
out into the front of a live event, because they're gonna look at the videotape later on and say, well, we found Quinn's body. Let's look at the events that preceded that, and you just see him being chased across the. It's like, well, I think it was this Orson Welles looking guy, this muscled up Asian guy, and this muscled up white guy. And even the sports commentators are like, some people just walked out into the middle of the game, and so Quinn runs to catch up with Rembrandt and Wade, And there's this whole chase that happens behind the scenes where they're running around, just like all this shit that's being carried around. I'm surprised nobody had a glass pane, which they just crashed
like
into.
goofy ass show.
It was like a cartoon chase, but and so they finally start running up some stairs, and guess who's coming down the stairs? A 5-piece orchestra band, and I'm like, okay. And so the thing I always notice is that Rembrandt is always pulling up the rear of this chase, and I'm so anyway. So they finally get to the top where the professor is, who he has a timer, and he says something like, where have you been? And so they all get up there, and tonight they got guns, right? So they shoot at the sliders, and they're all together now. And then who comes out? The FBI with 2 FBI agents, and I'm just like, wait,
I
what?
hate this.
And so, and then I think like Quinn says something. At this point, I can't remember exactly. Like the FBI says you're under arrest, or somebody says you're under arrest. Maybe the mafia said it to the FBI, but. And so then he says to the professor counts down. He shoots once again off the side of the building, the portal, and then they all jump through. And before Quinn jumps through, this goes back to Fever when he gave his "I Have a Dream" speech. And before jumping through, he says something in Latin to them. Kind of playing on Joey speaking, the mafia guy speaking in Latin. And then he jumps down. And the thing that gets me is that the mafia members and the FBI guys are all just like standing side by side. It's just like, weren't you trying to arrest them? And then the FBI guy goes, he repeats what Quinn says. And then Joey says, is Latin for so long, suckers. And then it just cuts to the credits.
I hate
and that's the end of the episode. So anything mixed in.
It's all dumb. That is all dumb. Everything is dumb.
Let's start at the Professor and Christina conversation. So anything from that point.
Professor dumb. But I did actually like that. What I don't, I guess ranking things that they've done to planets or worlds where they've been, this is probably, the more romantic, emotional thing that they've done. Like, this isn't a save the world level event, but it's also like you get your girl back. Yes, it's not you, but it's another you. And in that sense, I think Professor has the high ground over Wanda Maximoff because she ain't trying to hear that shit. She gonna kill every version of her to get to her kids. This man is willing to sacrifice. But I do like how that was played for the viewer, where Wade was like, "Oh, you're gonna stay here. That's not your wife. You loveless. You're not worthy of love. You bastard." That's pretty much what she said. And I was like, damn, maybe he is so wrapped up in her that he's gonna stay. But technically, yeah, but he's giving himself a chance to be. So I thought that's part of why I'm like, this episode is gold, because you tricked me, and then you kind of hit me over the head with a really good plot twist. It wasn't just it's like I'm not gonna stay. It was like, no, please stay, or please give me another chance. I can do better. I have to go away for a while. So it's like you're this is the one episode that we've watched where I'm like, oh, I would love to see what happens later.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when the real Arturo comes back? How long is Sigourney Weaver going to wait? You know what I'm saying? Like, is Mary J. Blige real in this world? Like, I just so many things that I want to know. And that, so I love that. Really, honestly, no notes. Just that, why are you kissing this woman? Why are you kissing this secretary? It was a, I think more it could be played for romantic, but I think with their interactions, that was a more platonic, you're a great person. But it's also like, in this world, you are a serial cheater. You probably shouldn't put your lips on this one. Like, what are we doing? Like a simple hug, or how you hold a handshake, like anything. You just kissed this random woman who served you divorce papers.
Yeah.
Like, let's stop putting our lips on people in these different worlds, Quinn. Or Wade. So I did like that. Honestly, truly, no notes. Just don't kiss her.
Mm-hmm.
The game itself, though, was really interesting.
Yeah.
I think the game is the thing that's lacking in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I feel like it's okay for it to be silly, but it didn't make sense. Like the concept of athleticism and intellect made sense, but like the board was odd, and then even the board that displayed the colors, like so I never felt like if they had it should have just been chess. It should have just been people chess. Like that would have.
It's a Harry Potter.
we know which like this made up thing is cool, but
No,
to your
Harry,
point,
it has to be you.
all that running. No, all that running and shit, and I know they were doing physical stuff, but I was like, somebody was just like, here's a concept for an easy thing to build.
Yeah.
Foam, fake grass, and large numbers. Like, and so I get it, but I was like, I don't know. That was a little distracting. For Quinn to be like, oh no, just trust me, coach. Don't put Wilson in. After Wilson has been starting for you all this time, I'm like, that's a big ask for a motherfucker who has disappointed this coach 3 times this episode. One when you came back, 2 when you quit the team and he sent that boy after you, and then 3 because you've been fucking up forever. Like you have a track record of being terrible. Like at this point, do the coach got a crush on you because you're doing too much?
Yeah.
And also, what happens now when you slide away? And like, what do we do about that? You're just not here anymore. Like this is fucked up. Quinn
got murdered. You remember, like live TV? They well, I mean, now the FBI knows that
this is how X-Files was founded, because them FBI agents. This Scooby-Doo ass chase scene. Whatever. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
The thing that pissed me off, one, the FBI agents. Where are y'all strategically? My thing is, what if they had killed him on the stairs?
Right.
Y'all have just been up there still. Like, what are we doing? Turn this thing on. Like,
why were they hiding from the professor up there? Because apparently
that too.
Nobody knew about this plan except Quinn.
This is so silly. And my final frustrated, angry ass rant. Why the fuck would you point that thing off the side of a building? What is going on? Because not only is that like wild, because if I miss it, I'm dead. Yeah. But it's also like once we jump through, wherever we land, it's different if we get sucked in because we walked into it. I'm quite literally like, so let's land on concrete. What if we're in a parking lot? Whoever's first, oh, you're dead. Or at the least your legs are broken. Like, what are we doing? I was like, this is dumb. And it's also dumb because they didn't move fast. Quinn waited about 50 seconds to be like, yeah, Das Vidania, motherfucker. They could have shot him. Quinn
His body just falls through the portal.
I'm right. And so now whoever went first, they legs broke, and then whoever goes third, you traumatized because the dead body is on top of you. I was like, this shit is weird as fuck. You motherfuckers, this whole and even despite all that, this still was probably, it's a phenomenal episode. But I'm just like, y'all just do some of the silliest shit that like, what the fuck are we doing? Y'all are different people. I'm convinced every time they slide, a new version of them has we don't even, these ain't the people from the pilot. I don't know who these people are. There's no way. Oh God, they're so fucking weird.
They're not learning. They're not learning with every slide,
which is crazy. I'm gonna give you a few. I even give you 5 slides because like, all right, now I finally got to hang. After that, come on, you survived a swarm of killer, bear-sized wasps. What are we doing? I hate them. I hate all of them, but it was good.
No, they said it was still good.
Oh my God. I hate them
Oh man. So that's how the episode ends.
terribly.
So we can go. Let's start with let's do your favorite and your least favorite characters
Well,
of
my
the.
least favorite is Wade.
Okay.
Period. Is Wade. My favorite is I'm really torn between the coach and Sigourney Weaver, but I'm gonna go with Christina because
Okay.
I think they both put they all in this episode, and they both had pretty dramatic, like emotional scenes. The
Yeah.
coach maybe just a little bit more than her, but I think she sold Arturo's story for me, so I got to go with the Christina Fox as my favorite.
Okay. Um, the I think my favorite might have to be I was gonna say it's let's just I'm just gonna like pack them together. The coach and Boyer,
Yeah.
only because they kind of represent the same thing, like where they're tired of this world's Quinn's like shit,
Mm-hmm.
and they basically tell him about himself, at least
Mm-hmm.
well they think they tell him about himself. So I think those two are my favorites. My least
Okay.
favorite, um, this is a toss up between Remy and Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because I actually liked Wilson for being the hating ass motherfucker he was, because it seemed like he had a bit of jealousy kind of mixed in
Mm-hmm.
for that, for being like second fiddle or playing
Yeah.
second fiddle. In addition to just like he was, just athlete on the take or whatever. So I
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like him as, because you remember the scientist from Fever who was just evil for the sake of waking up in the
Yeah.
morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
that shit. At least it seemed like in this one he actually this antagonist had some motivation. So I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
Remy because they made this man excessively dumb in this episode, and though I didn't appreciate Wade talking to this grown ass man, like it's sort of
Older
like
than her.
your father's age, like saying you stupid motherfucker. I was like,
Mm.
I don't like the direction they took his character in this.
Yeah, I agree.
So those are my favorite, least favorite, and so as far as like favorite and least favorite scenes, what are you two?
That's a hard one. Because the whole show was terrible. No. My favorite scene. Oh shit. That is kind of difficult because I really like Christina, but I'd probably have to go with Arturo leaving that tape for himself. Because I think as far as like plot twists go, I truly didn't see that coming. Like
Mhm.
I truly I don't know if I thought he was going to stay, or maybe I thought he was leaving a video for her, because in my mind, for some reason, when he first met up with her, I thought she was going to help him figure out whatever slide and stuff. But I'm glad we didn't go that way,
Yeah,
where this woman is important, not just because she's his ex, but because she's also very smart in science. Like I don't. So I'd have to go with him in that scene of him leaving the message to his current world counterpart variant, whatever. That's my favorite. Um Least favorite, shit. There's so many. Um Least favorite. Damn, see, I don't know, because everything that I don't like also had a component that I did like the mafia kitchen scene. I hated that, but like
mhm.
also it was done pretty well. Um Least favorite, I'll probably say shit, man. I don't know. And okay, this is a very small part, but I'm going to lean on this. Oh shit, hold up.
Mhm.
Yeah, damn. The when they first got on campus and they met with the dude from the X Files,
Yeah.
that really pissed me off. I think more than a lot of things, because again, know you're in another world. Oh, I give you my office. That's the chances. Okay, sure, sis. Like you're gonna blow your, but whatever. That really, I had an emotional reaction when I watched this. So that I'm gonna put that as my least favorite, even over cussing out Rembrandt. Because that just made me so mad. That made me so mad.
So I think for my favorite, it would be the coach talking to Quinn about his opportunities and how he's wasting them and all that. I thought that was actually a good scene. Least favorite was, like you said, the Scooby-Doo chase behind the set. It seemed like I wanted them to just like pull a 70s rock song from the time or like a pop song and play it as you see them like running from area to area. So those are my favorite and least favorite. And I guess final thoughts along with the rating of how many Wheaties boxes with Quinn on it, with Quinn on the front. How he go through all that money, man? He's just a fuck up.
That's crazy. And also, your mom was forced back east.
I was about to say that. Like, what happened? Like, she was just like, "I'm done with your trifling ass."
I was like, God damn, you really fucked up. Yep. Honestly, and y'all heard me talk all this shit about this episode. I would put this like firmly at like an 8, maybe 8.5, because this episode was so tight. Like even moving from Quinn running away, Boyd at the door, talking to the coach, even though the FBI shit was like weird, it hit. I think this episode was really tight, and I think, critiques aside, this was one of the better episodes where you got a full range of things that happened. There was always something going on. You had the silliness, but everything from start to finish mattered.
Yeah.
We didn't get dead Quinn over here. Like, he might be dead, we don't know, but like everything made sense. And so I think this is probably one of my favorite episodes so far.
Yeah. So I think like I'm somewhere between 7 and an 8, for it. Let's say 7.5 to an 8.
Yeah.
And for piggybacking off of some of the reasons that you had, I think that's the best way, like you described it, is it's just tight. It's one of those, it didn't feel like it was too like unwieldy, like, and things, the team stayed together. So there was they weren't kind of far apart. So they had to like overcome a lot of obstacles and meet back up. And, they were like, we're going to go to a place and we're going to stay in a place and we're going to stay in this place until we go to a place, another world.
Right.
And it didn't feel unwieldy. Like I said, if they had even removed just the FBI part, they could have had the Scooby-Doo chase and then have like the intelligent mafia or whatever, get stuck behind a large statue.
Yeah.
And they could have jumped off and then they would have been like, where'd they go? And that's the end of the episode without the FBI there. So between 7.5 and an 8, boxes of Wheaties with so but overall it was, I think this is up there for me with the pilot and let me get the title of it right. The Last Days. Last Days is actually probably up there, kind of as one of my, it's still one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I still like Last Days. So so I think the only little tidbit that I can toss in as far as like we got some Sliders news, yo. You know what I mean? Is there's Jerry O'Connell, who plays Quinn Mallory. He is on a show now called Star Trek Lower Decks, which I recommend. Even if you're not a Trekkie, watch it. It's a really funny animated comedy, which is kind of like, if it's not as explicit as that, like Rick and Morty type of show, but it's set within a Star Trek world, but it's really funny. It's like an action comedy or a comedy adventure or whatever. But he plays one of the roles on there. So he was being interviewed about, this is their last season, and one of the things he mentioned was he really would like to do, I guess after this show goes off the air, he'd be interested in doing something Sliders related. And I think his quote was like something like, I know Universal owns the rights, and and I work for Paramount. Let's make it happen. And I was like, well, okay, Jerry O'Connell. I like that you're talking it up, but yeah, this is like after years. This is like the most recent news about a possible, somebody being interested enough to, revisit the show or like do a reboot. I remember there was he had spoken a couple of years ago about talking with the guy that plays Professor John Rhys Davies about some, possibly doing something. I know the creator, one of the co-creators, Tracy Torme, before he passed away, had spoken about talking with executives about trying to do something. So it's this thing that, and there's even a picture of Jerry O'Connell and Clavon Derricks where they met up. Just to kind of link back up. And I think Jerry had said something about talking with him about it. So it's always this thing that's just been spoken about, but nothing's ever happened. But, with him, maybe this is something he wants to do, because I don't want to say the dude is unemployed now, but because I think like he had that and he was on the talk show, the Talk CBS show, and that's ending this year. So, I mean, he got 2 shows that are ending, so he might need something. Let's see what's on IMDb. He has 2 things coming up. So maybe Jerry O'Connell was trying to get something going, because he's like, this Star Trek about to end, so I need I need something to pop up. So that's the latest news. So we'll see. But we spoke up the 4400 reboot, and we saw what happened with that.
Hey, all credit to you, Robert. So if they do, or when they do come with that Sliders reboot, you got it's us. Right? We did it.
That's us.
Shit. Yeah, because this is one show that just
Jaleel White is going to be. He's Jerry O'Connell's going to be in a show with Jaleel White.
Oh yeah,
called Grubs. Yeah, Urkel and Quinn Mallory.
Interesting. So, 2 smart guys. All right. Well,
it is.
One of the characters is smart. Yeah, Jaleel is. But yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Okay, well, shout out to, and he looks good. Like I saw him a clip of him, Jerry O'Connell, on the show, The Talk, and he was wearing the pink Kim Kardashian outfit, and it was played for laughs because of course it's a joke. But like him himself, that man aged pretty well. Like, I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. He aged well. I mean, that's what happens when you mind your business and just work and are a decent human, because he aged really well. I said, okay, I see you, Quinn. Yeah, so he don't look too far off from, well, that's a lie because he's older, but he looks like himself. So shout out to him for that. But yeah, I would love, this show really has the potential to be rebooted anytime. Like, even if it was 50 years from now, if it was 30 years from now, 100, like this concept was sci-fi. So most sci-fi is, but like this specifically could definitely work. And I would love to see it. Like, shit, sign me up.
I keep saying, like, we're living in an era of where the multiverse, the idea of the multiverse and parallel worlds, is more accepted by general audiences than when we were growing up, like something like Sliders or other shows that dealt with this. If you talk to somebody who didn't know anything about this, they'd be like, what? But now I think it would be something that more people would jump onto, because the concept is so popular. I guess shout out to the MCU, for making it a thing. So
I mean,
so we'll see.
Yeah, shout out. So I don't know if I mentioned on here, but the idea of the quantum immortality theory, I'd say look into that, y'all. I've used that to inspire a magic system in one of my own novel series. So I feel like the stars have aligned for you to suggest this show, us to do it, me to work on that book, see the parallels, and then also come across this quantum immortality theory. I say, oh yeah, this is the universe. Somebody telling me, hey, get this out there. So shout out to Quinn, shout out to you, and shout out to listeners. Hell, you listeners and viewers for catching us this far. If you made it this far, give us a cereal bowl emoji. I think there's a cereal bowl
That would
emoji
be great.
for the Wheaties, and let us
Yep.
know. Drop it in the comments and on social media. Hit us up and drop it to us there. How can these folks find and support you through social media and online stuff?
So for me, it would be through Instagram, robert.k.jeffrey, and on Facebook, just do a search for author Robert Jeffrey.
Mhm.
And my website is Robert K. Jeffrey, robertkjeffrey.com. And it has, links to everything on there, including my parallel dimension hopping co-created and co-written comic book series called The Crossing.
Hey.
We are working on the scripts for other issues, but you can get the first issue through my website. So, and check it out.
Make sure y'all check that out. Those links will be in the show notes. Yeah, and for me, my name is Robert Jeffrey. I mean, I'm sorry. I am the variant. No, this is Ryan Coleman, of course, the Carefree Black Nerd on this universe, anyways. And you can hit me up if you're listening and watching this. Check the feed. There's more videos and podcasts. Social media, Carefree Blurred on TikTok and. What's the spiel? I didn't forgot. Blue Sky, Carefree Blurred, Twitter, Carefree Blurred, TikTok, Carefree Black Nerd, YouTube, Carefree Black Nerd, IG, Carefree Black Nerd, all that. Just search Carefree Black Nerd podcast somewhere, and then you'll find it. Search it on, Walmart.com or something. Okay, well, until next time, you wonderful people, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, and if you find yourself on an alternate universe, please, for the love of God, do not fuck with your variant's life. Just hide out for 5 days. Because at this point, you're gonna have to slide anyways. You can't guarantee you sliding back to Prime Earth. So just chill for 5 days. Give yourself a break. My God. Shit. All right, y'all.